Allen Onyia. How I usually like to describe myself, I'm a creative. But I'm a creative, a fashion creative. So I have my hands in design. I own a media company called Upscale Hype, which has been running for the last 12 plus years. I'm a style coach. I consult with brands. I'm a designer. So it's just, I have my hands in everything fashion. Fashion is in my DNA, it's in my blood.
Absolutely. So how did the music and fashion scene in Houston impact your perspective on styling?
So in Houston, everything's about, for me growing up, everything was about being clean. So I know different cities have their vibe, New York is grunge, but it's just like this authentic. LA has this laid back, hobo chic type vibe, right? And then for Texas, Houston is about just being super clean. All of our jeans or our pants, we would starch them down to where the crease was as hard as a cardboard box, right? So it's about just really sharp, clean haircuts every week. It was we were just, the energy was everything glistening and clean. That's the culture. So I think that, I adopted that, just being in that. So my style reflects that. My style is about sharp, clean.
A majority of the work that we put into the world is a product of our motivation and drive. You've already accomplished a lot, but what is your drive, and what motivates your drive? What fuels your drive? What is it?
For me, competition. I'm a very competitive person. I played sports growing up in a very competitive way. So competition drives me. I feel like competition brings out the best in everyone, whether you like it or not. I think competition allows you to, it pushes you to the next level, obviously, because you're going against, whether it's groups of people or, it's mano a mano. For me, it doesn't allow for you to just lay dormant in a sense.
Be sort of status quo.
Be stagnant. So competition drives me. Anything that I do, I want to be the best at it. And so, having people that I see kind of in my space doing things, I just want to increase my level. So the competition for me is what drives me.
Listen, and I've witnessed some of it because of the collaboration work we are doing. I just know, we know when Allen's not quite satisfied yet. And Allen will come back to you the next day or sometimes the day after that. Anyway, but I get what it is, because once you've had a moment to sit on it or think about it, if it isn't that level of perfection you're looking for, you're not going to be comfortable.
Yeah, and I'm all about that. I tell everyone around me, I don't allow people to speed me up, right?
You know what, I would say, yes, you are correct.
Yeah, that's very, very important. I don't allow people to speed me up, and I've created I would say for the most part, a business or a career where I can afford to move at my own pace. Because like I said, I always want to give the best that I have to offer.
Upscale Hype. The dominance has come during a time when men's fashion has really been able to push through. A lot of mixing of high-end fashion and streetwear. Could you tell us a little bit about how you've watched that evolve when you started Upscale Hype and what it means now? And I guess particularly, and I'm sorry, I know it's a long question, what kind of impact do you think it's having on your followers now?
What we wanted to do was document fashion, and I felt like the best way to document fashion was through celebrities. I felt like at the time, you didn't have a lot of access to celebrities, so they were very mysterious in a sense. And then another great thing about celebrities, you are able to see, they're pushing the envelope through their stylists, they're pushing the envelope through style, so they're kind of like models for fashion pieces, right? I think we helped break down the pieces, on the men's side. Obviously it was something that was done on the women's side, but we were the one that really took it and ran with it on the men's side. We would tell people that the watch is 40 grand, that they're wearing a Rolex. We would tell people, oh, this is a Balenciaga shoe that Usher's wearing, or that's what we were doing, and I think people fell in love with that. And so now you see with Instagram, people are tagging, people can now tag everything that they're wearing, and we were the first to doing that. We would document that through the website.
Yeah, what you've done with Upscale Hype has been brilliant, as and part of why we can sit here and do what we're doing together.
Yeah,
the type of work that we'll talk about in a minute that you've collaborated with us on. It's that level of fashion that without the Upscale Hypes of the world, we wouldn't have an audience.
Yeah,
And I think that's incredibly critical. Let's talk about your personal style a little bit. So would you just describe your own style? So we got the references and the emphasis from how you grew up, but like today, when you get up, what are you thinking about when you get dressed? And is there a thread every day? Do you change up? What's your...
At my current state, I've kind of found a uniform. I think most, men, eventually you find a uniform, you find almost like a comfort zone. Obviously I'm still pushing, but there's a uniformity within my style. I feel like my style is very versatile. There are things that I've gravitate to normally, but I had a friend recently describe my style as like relatable high-end fashion, right? And at first I didn't really get it, but the more I thought about it, it started making sense. I'm not so avant-garde where like I'm, throwing on a bunch of like high-end designer fashion pieces. It's to me, I find like a piece that is not for the average guy, it's not your average piece that you would just purchase and put in your closet, and I find a way to make it relatable. So that's maybe pairing it with some Air Forces or, dumbing it down. So to me, my style is just about mixing high-end fashion pieces with streetwear pieces, so balancing it out. And I think people have found a liking to that, and that's kind of how I would describe it's more of a perfect balance of, pushing, but also relatability.
Yeah, accessible.
Yeah.
You make it accessible, and again, you break down the taboos. Because listen, the worst thing anybody wants to do, male or female, but specifically men, they don't want to make that wrong purchase. They don't want to step out. They definitely don't want to get in front of someone's Instagram shot and it not be right. So listen, your style, of course, comes across as effortless. Is it truly effortless? Give us the secret. Give us the behind the scenes. It's showing up. Because every time you show up, you're flawless. Even on our virtual design meetings, I need to understand what the secret sauce is around that.
I would attribute it to I put in those 10,000 hours, and when you put in 10,000 hours, you know what you're doing, right? And so for me, it's become effortless for me. And the idea is to make it look effortless for others, but obviously, people come to me and say, hey, I tried to pull off that look, it just didn't come out that well. And it's like, I'm able to, in a sense, cut corners. And I'm not really cutting corners, but in a sense, I'm able to cut corners because I put in those 10,000 hours. So I can speed up my process, but I'm actually doing all the little minor, small details to kind of execute the look.
Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about Macy's. So, some of your earliest memories of Macy's.
Macy's for me, I'm from Texas, Houston, and Macy's for us was always the largest department store in the world, and it's always been considered that. Macy's growing up, was our first stop and our last stop. It was growing up where if you needed anything, Macy's had. My mom would go there for pots, mom would go there for bedding, she'd go there for our clothes, so Macy's was that one stop and that last stop.
Talk to me a little bit about your experience on this collaboration. So working with Macy's, designing with the Macy's design team, could you just share some of the highlights?
I'm very, very hands-on, so I think for me, my biggest struggle coming in was just the Zoom calls, learning to work remotely and over Zoom, but I've gotten the hang of it, and I'm enjoying them a lot more. I think the team has been amazing. They've been so helpful for me, because that was something that I wasn't, I'm used to like touching the clothes. I'm used to being able to make adjustments on the fly.
Right.
And it's so much more difficult communicating. Communicating it back and forth. But what I do, and I'm grateful for, it's taught me to expand, and it's taught me other skills that, through the Zoom calls, and it's trained me to now I have that in my back pocket. It's equipped me with a new skill set that I didn't have. We naturally get reliant on like things in person or being able to touch things, and now it gave me an ability to work without almost work blinded, like blindfolded.
Almost, yeah, no, a little bit, because when you've never had to do that before, and you, like you said, you've put in the work, when you're touching fabrics, looking at color, looking at the juxtaposition of pattern, when you can't do that, it is a little bit like being blind. I agree with you 100%.
So I'm grateful for the experience. It's been amazing. Your team is amazing. They're fast, they're patient with me. And so I'm grateful.
No, well, that's great. Yeah, well, we're mostly patient with you, Allen, but no, we are grateful too. I mean, listen, part of these collaborations is just our own desire to be inspired and be connected with folks who we think do have this, level of creativity, and very specifically looking to celebrate Black excellence and how that extends into creativity. So for us, this has also been, an amazing journey. I'm going to ask you one last question as it relates to Black History Month.
Yeah.
So for you, as we look forward to Black History Month, February 2021, just some thoughts on how you think that's going to be different. How do you feel the energy around Black History Month perhaps versus the ones you've known and celebrated your entire life? How is this one going to feel different?
I think this one is going to feel a lot different because usually a lot of the Black History Month is celebrated in February. Mm-hmm. And I think because this has been a very interesting year, we've been celebrating it almost every month. And so for me, it's gonna hit harder, but for me, I feel like we've just been celebrating it. I feel like in so many different ways, people are now in tune, and it's not isolated to that month.
1 month or 28 days.
Yeah. Now it's spread out. I can feel it. I can feel the energy.
I sincerely want to thank you. I think that the product that you've collaborated with us on is so incredible, and I think
thank you.
You are spot on because it is fashion.
Yeah.
But the way you've architected it with us, the way you've combined it, the way you've thought about it, it is so wearable. It's so accessible, but it's also so identifiable. And, why we wanted to work with you was we wanted to create these moments that were collectible. And we wanted folks to be able to walk down the street and feel very proud of having something Allen Onyia for INC Men's. And I think what you've done with this first drop is going to do that. And it does it. It does it effortlessly, although we know it hasn't been effortless, but it really does strike a chord. So the experience has been great. And I can't wait for the Macy's consumer to see everything you've done.
Thank you. And I themed my collection, What a Parade. And I themed it What a Parade because for me, this year has been about stages.
Yes.
We all have been, kind of up and down, we've gone through stages, and there's been great moments, great moments, and the moments that, are not so great, but it's been stages, obviously. And then just like the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade, as we're spectators, we're watching stages could go by, right? And at the end of the year, it's What a Parade. Like, you walk away feeling like, what a parade, and you're excited for the next year.
Ending on that note, and I want to say when you first came to us with your mood boards and your inspiration, you had done all this work on finding and researching vintage Macy's ads and things that celebrated the parade, and we were just also in awe and impressed because, you made that connection immediately. Obviously, we didn't tell you to do that. We wanted you to bring your own sensibility and vision. And I'll never forget going to those pages and going, wow, Allen's already connected the dots here.
Like I said, I'm just grateful for the opportunity. And I wanted, for me, from this first drop, I wanted, in a sense, to pay homage and show my gratitude to Macy's. And I felt like me putting together a collection that, played onto the two things that I think are the cornerstones of the brand, which is, the Thanksgiving Parade, and it's also the fact that Macy's will be forever considered the largest department store in the world. And so through the collection, you will see small and cleverly placed hints that tie back to those two key points of the brand. So.
Wow. Well, listen, I can't wait for everybody to experience it now. We are greatly appreciative of your celebration of Macy's. And
thank you.
In turn, we celebrate Allen Onyia for INC Men's.
Appreciate it.
Great friend. Thank you.
What a parade.
What a parade, Allen.